Hey sweet friends, welcome back to my channel. Kay here from At Home with Kay. I appreciate you clicking on my video today. This video is going to be a collab and I'll talk about that a little bit later. But it's going to be like an Easter spiritual inspirational collab, and mine is going to be scripture based. So what I wanted to do here is I had searched all over at Walmart and Michael's and Hobby Lobby for like a wooden coffee cup, like a plaque. That was a wooden coffee cup, and I couldn't find one anywhere. So then when I went in Walmart, I just saw this half oval shaped wood and I thought that will work. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create this coffee cup out of this, and this is going to be an inspiration for me in the morning to always remember why I'm awake, who woke me up this morning, and to just trust and believe in God. I'm going to paint this, and right now I'm just drawing the outline of where I want my drink to be inside of my cup. And I am going to paint it with this pink paint. The paint is I believe it's by Apple Barrel. It's Pink Parfait. And then I'm just using a little bit of white on the side of my brush to highlight it. I learned that technique from Charlene at the Crafty Art Shack. She has some good tips. So I am just using this white to highlight. And then we're going to move on to our next step. I was going to do some more like Easter based DIYs, but I did that last year, and then I just had an idea because I wanted to just have more things in my, just sitting around my house that you walk through the door and you see it and you think, oh, that is, just to have an encouragement. That's what I'm trying to say. An encouragement, when you look at it. So that's what I'm doing with these projects that I'm making. And I hope that was in the right vein for this collab, but that's just what I had on my heart to do. So what I'm using here is my Deco Art Paint Honey Brown, it's called. And I am making it's going to be like a latte is in this cup. I just had this little silly idea. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to paint it this color. And I thought it looked kind of like, the color of, the way the latte looks when you mix the milk in there. And then I'm even off camera, I'm going to try to do some latte art. I didn't know how it was going to turn out, and I didn't want to mess up and ruin it. So I just turned the camera off when I was doing that. But then I'm just putting some little streaks in here of the milk. And then I'm going to try out my hand out at making that little heart, So this collab is I'm joining Craft Away with May. Please check out her channel and her DIYs that she's doing. She's incredible. And Jenny over at Lovely Moments Creating is the other creator that's in this challenge. They are phenomenal. Please check both of those ladies out. Their channels will be linked in the description box below. So what I'm doing here is I have these beads, and this is going to be the handle to my coffee cup. I'm just painting it with the same Pink Parfait in white, giving it some dimension with the white. And the challenge that I had was how to attach this to that piece of wood. It got a little bit, it was a little bit fumbly, but I finally figured it out. I had some wire, like some jewelry wire. And what I did was I strung the beads onto the wire. And then when I put it on the wire, I had a feeling that I was just going to, attach that bead and it was going to stay there. But the wood is so thin, I couldn't do that. So what I had to do was but let me just not get ahead of myself because I want you to see what I'm talking about. So what I'm doing here is I'm just gonna string the beads onto the wire. Okay, so here, what I ended up doing, I took one of those little tiny clothespins that you get from Dollar Tree. I broke it apart, and then I glue that with a little hot glue and wood glue on the back of the wood oval. Just a little bit of hot glue and wood glue. I just put a dab there to get it to hold, and then I'm going to put 2 of those. And then what I did was I had to wrap the wire around. I had to actually I had the idea that I was going to glue that bead on and then just glue it all on. That didn't work either. I had to take it off of the wire, all the beads, and then I wrapped the wire around that little clothespin. Then I strung the beads on, and that worked a lot better. And I believe I did that off camera, but that was my idea of how I got that to work. And what I'm doing here, this did not work. I had to take that little bead off. It didn't work, so because I was trying to stick the end of the wire into the hole on the bead, it didn't work. I just left this in there just so you can see that crafting doesn't always go as planned. It's kind of trial and error as you go along. All right, so this is going to be my pedestal for my cup. I'm going to just glue these Jenga blocks onto this little wood plaque, and then I'm going to use some antique wax with a little water to paint it and stain it. And then I'm going to hot glue the cup on there, and that's what's going to be the stand for it. And I believe I'm going to show you this completed at the end of the video. Now these are my letters that I'm using to create some of my verses. These packs came from Michaels, but then the packs that I wanted really were at Hobby Lobby, but they only had 2, so I had to go to Michaels and get some different ones, and they were just about, what, $4 or $5. And so this is my next project that I'm going to do. This plaque here I got from Michaels. I think it was like $14.99. I think this is so pretty. When I saw it, I got this idea. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put an inspirational scripture on here for my daughters. What paint I'm using here is... it's the purple paint by Deco Art, and it's called Brilliant Purple. And I'm going to add one little spot of paint. I'm mixing white because I want it a little lighter purple. And then the other one, I got a little darker purple. I don't usually use purple, so that was different for me. But that was what I had in my mind. I actually thought that I was going to be able to, you see where I'm painting? I thought I was going to be able to put some tissue paper on there. And I bought this pretty purple tissue paper from Hobby Lobby, but I didn't use that. I just decided to paint. But what I'm going to do, this is going to be an inspirational plaque for my daughters. I have daughters, and you know, when you have girls, sometimes they constantly will talk about themselves. I'm not pretty, I'm not this, or they don't like their body or whatever. But my daughters are beautiful, all 3 of them. They really are. But I wanted to put a verse on there, the verse in Psalm 139:14 that says, I am fearfully and wonderfully made. And I'm going to hang that where they will always see it. But anyway, now that I've painted the flowers, I mixed together, it's called Spring Green, and I mixed it with a little bit, the Spring Green is by Apple Barrel, and I mixed it with a little bit of celery from Waverly, and I got this muted kind of green, and I like that. It was just enough brightness for this plot, because what I'm going to do with the rest of it, the big open area, I'm going to stain it with water and Waverly Antique Wax. And here it is stained with the Waverly Antique Wax and water. I just had a cup of water and I was just dipping my brush in there. I didn't even have to wipe it because it did just the perfect amount of stain, you know. And then I just went around the edges of all the flowers very carefully, and I just stained the entire plaque. And then I put together all of my words, and I'm gonna hot glue and wood glue these to the plaque. When I did this here, you can't glue things to anything that's wet, Kay. So it didn't work, and I had to use the heat gun to kind of dry it up before I could glue my letters. And I just left the letters natural. I didn't stain them or paint them. I just left them natural. And this is what it looks like all done. Then I felt it looked a little empty, so I had these butterflies and flowers, and I decided to just, in random spots, to add them to the plaque. And I think it turned out cute, but you will see it all completed at the end of the video. Okay, so next I got this giant, it's like a jar from, I think I got this one from Hobby Lobby too. And I use Caribbean by Apple Barrel, and I mix it with some white. And I am going to paint this entire jar, not the lid, just the jar area. And I'm gonna do that same thing where I have a little white on my brush to give it, you know, some dimension when I paint it. And then I have another verse that I'm going to put on that one, and I'm going to use those same wood letters, but I'm going to paint the wood letters this time white. And the verse that I'm going to use on this one is Matthew 5:6. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be filled. And when I went back and looked at it, I didn't put the word blessed are those who. I said blessed are those that hunger and thirst. But it was an error that I'm not going to even try and fix. I'm just going to leave it as is because it's okay, you know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep adding my paint until I have this completed and add the highlight, and we'll move on to the next step. Now for the lid part of this plaque, I'm going to use this gold paint. I gotta get some more of this gold paint. I got this from Michael's years ago. I was in there and I should have just looked for it, but I didn't. But I'm gonna add this gold paint to the top, and I think the gold and the blue look really pretty together. Okay, and here it is with my words on here. And then I took those flowers and I just added those too. Now my next project is I have this little house, and the verse that I wanted to put on this one is Joshua 24:15. And at the end of that verse says, as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. So what I'm going to do here is I am painting the top half of this house white, because I'm going to add some other pretty tissue paper that I got from Hobby Lobby. I got two pretty ones, one pink and one purple. They were really beautiful. I'm going to add the tissue paper up there, and then at the bottom, I'm going to stencil some words the verse on the bottom. This time I'm going to just use stencil because it's so small down there. My letters were big. And I got this nice stencil from Walmart, and I'm just going to use that. But I'm going to use antique wax and water at the bottom of this like I did on the prior project. Yep, so I'm just going to use the antique wax and water here. I'm just dip my brush in the water, dip it in the wax, and it just makes it just thin enough so that when it dries, I can still, you know, see the wood grain and it's just not all thick. I like that, to do that when I use the antique wax. And now I'm just going to dry the whole thing off really quickly. Just dry it with the heat gun before I move on to the next step. And this is the beautiful paper that I got from Hobby Lobby. These papers were just like $1.49, and you get quite a few sheets in there. But I'm just going to cut a small portion that I'm going to use at the top of this little house. So here I'm just measuring where I want it, and it's just pretty on all different angles, so it didn't really matter how I put it on there. But I'm going to use my my Mod Podge to adhere it to the little house. I think this is so pretty. These colors just make me happy. So I'm just using the matte Mod Podge. It didn't matter if it was the matte or the gloss. I'm just going to use the matte, and I'm going to put just a thin layer, and then I'm going to lay my paper on top, and then I'm going to off camera use my sanding block to get the paper off. I'm also not going to, I added a little bit of Mod Podge at the top. I was going to not add any Mod Podge, but I did add a little bit at the top because I'm going to put the paper all the way up at the top. And this is what it looks like. And I'm going to use my stencil, but I'm going to do that off camera, and I'll show you at the end of the video. So don't forget to check out Craft Away with May's lovely channel and Lovely Moments Creating, Jenny's beautiful channel, and check out their videos also. You will not be disappointed. And this is what everything turned out in the end to look like. In the morning when I rise, give me coffee and Jesus. I love that, and I'm going to just sit that on my coffee bar, and it's just going to stay there as a beautiful reminder of who woke me up and who made everything possible in my life. He's the one I serve and love. So I think this turned out beautifully. What do you guys think? What do you think about my latte art? I think it's cute. And this is my other plaque. There was a little... It was made so that it can hang. There's a hole on the back, and I love that. And I added a little gold butterfly to it. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. I just used the smallest stencil with lowercase letters, and that's Joshua 24:15. And here is the other plaque that I did. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. And that is a part of the verse Psalm 139:14. And I'm going to hang this either maybe on the bathroom door or somewhere where my daughters can always see it. When they look in the mirror, then they'll know that they are beautiful inside and out, you know? And here is my last project. Blessed are those that hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be filled. And that's Matthew 5:6. And on this, I just used some of those same white flowers and some of those gold butterflies just to fill in the spaces and make it look more, complete. And I just highlighted a little gold on the letters after I painted them because I didn't want them to get lost in the blue. And I think it looks beautiful. It actually looks like a cloud or something. I love that color. Check my description box for Jenny and May's channels. And remember, when you can't find the sunshine, be the sunshine.